Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to this first episode of Making of. In this occasion, we're going to talk about the making of the uh, cover of. Well, I don't know if I should call it a cover because it's not going to be a physical comic. I just try to do this kind of to. This is more like an exercise for me than an actual cover because I never tried doing one before. I think I tried to do photography and stuff like that kind of looks like a cover. But right now I try to make something different just to have some kind of structure. For example, I started doing the first page without a script, without nothing. And that made things kind of difficult to me as I progressed with the pages because I didn't have a character sheet, and I couldn't preserve the characteristics of the characters. And doing this little cover was kind of like a reminder that I should do that. But the main idea of this comic is just to develop everything as it goes. So yeah, this cover, I never did a cover before, before this. So I was thinking, how should I make it? I I googled how to make covers, or cover for your manga, cover for your comics, and the rest, and everything shared just one point in common, which is the fact that your main characters should be in it, and the second, as a second point that was common for the covers, is that the cover should express the feeling of your overall story. So I tried to make that, even though my characters in the real comic, or well on the pages doesn't have either wings or horns. I tried to put it just to make them stand out like a little, because my characters are really common. They have the most common faces in the world, and the overall story is about them being normal people with issues and with problems. And I was like, how can I make this stand out, like something interesting? So I thought about the horns and the wings, but I never drawn horns or wings before. So as I already said, I googled a little and I saw some references, and I started doing it because, as already established, I've said repeatedly, or well, various times, I'm trying to just do it. I'm trying not to overthink stuff, so I'm just trying to do it. And when I see some errors, like in this cover, I will eventually work to become a better artist. And yeah, so having those main pointers as a starting point for me, I started just drawing on the page, and I started to make the characters just in the most common pose possible, because I thought of making a really intricate and amazing cover, but unfortunately I'm not that good of an artist. I'm just, this is my second year drawing, or taking drawing as a more serious part of my development as an artist, and as a creator. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do something maybe not that over the top, but something interesting. And I think the horns and the wings were that, and I just started doing it. And when I started making some digital, how can I say it, modifications or improvements, I realized that even though ink is my favorite medium, right now, and I think it's a very permissive medium. It has its flaws. For example, the pens that I'm currently using, which is Sakura Pigma. I don't remember the name. I'm going to talk about this eventually, but right now it's more about the developing of this cover. But yeah, my pens have the issue that they can't make but it's going to sound really fucking weird, but I can't do my black lines look blacker. They kind of like wash out a little, and you can see the every little line that I done for this cover, and I really hated that. So when I moved the work to a digital medium, I started covering all those really weird fuck ups that I did, and eventually I started adding color. The colors that I choose, it was just 4 colors that I saw that were kind of like cool looking to me, but at the same time I was trying to go for this look of an old fairy tale, but with this kind of like more modern approach, because they both are using a suit. So I was like, how can I make this interesting? So I chose those 4 colors, and I just started drawing over the ink drawing. And with that, I finished. I end up with this result, with this interesting cover. But I think the most difficult part for me while doing this was choosing a freaking typography, because even though typography isn't the most important part of your work, it can send the wrong message, because even though I use this typography for the end for the finished product, it kind of looks like something CSI-esque. And I think it's interesting because that can make the story move to a different direction. But that's something that I only had the chance to know thanks to doing this and making a lot of fuck ups. And as already established, this channel is about that. So even though my cover looks like something like for a detective story, it might not end up being that, but it was interesting for me to do it. The only thing that I can say that I have to improve thanks to this experiment was the fact that I need to work on the freaking hands, and I need to work on the anatomy of my characters, because that's a problem that I've always had, but this in a cover, it kind of like it stands out. If you make a lot of fuck ups with the first image of your product, it's going to look worse. So yeah, that 2 observations are what I'm going to try to become better at on the next weeks. So yeah, I think that's it for this episode of Making Of. I hope you like it. I hope you can be with me in this journey, and I hope you are doing something. I hope that you are creating something, and maybe you can share it with me, because it's a more enjoyable journey if you know that someone is there with you. But yeah, I think that's it from me. I'm JD Linkus. Thank you for watching this, and I'm going to see you later. Goodbye.